Today we're going to take a look at this McFarlane Toys Batman figure from the movie Batman and Robin, possibly the worst Batman, actually it was the worst Batman movie ever made, but for some reason it has a strange kind of cult following, and even though we all recognise it as a bad film, you can't help but love it because of how bad it actually is. And there is a certain detail that I hope McFarlane have managed to sculpt into this figure. Bat nipples. Well, actually I was going to say the likeness of George Clooney, but yeah, bat nipples as well. So here we are, the George Clooney version of Batman, and this is actually part of a Build-A-Figure wave where you can collect Batgirl, Poison Ivy, Robin and Batman and build yourself a Mr. Freeze figure. In this one you get Mr. Freeze's legs. The only problem with this is I don't really want these two figures. I would quite like to have a Robin, but Batman was a must for me. But it's a shame that you have to get all four of these figures to build a Mr. Freeze. It would have been nice if they just released a Mr. Freeze and then they wouldn't force upon us these characters here that we might not want to purchase, but if you do, all good. But for me, I only really wanted these two and probably Mr. Freeze. So in the box we get Mr. Freeze's legs, two pieces of ice which were used in the movie to trap Batman in the rocket that was flying over Gotham, a George Clooney Batman trading card, and the usual stand that you get in most McFarlane box sets. And here we have the George Clooney version of Batman, and I must admit this is a thing of beauty, it really is. There's not a lot in the way of paintwork on this because it's an all black suit, but the detail which is actually in the suit is incredible, and I'll show you a few zoomed in shots in a minute so you can actually see that detail. But this suit does look to be very movie accurate, and it's got all these very nice Joel Schumacher design works here on the suit that we saw in the film. It's even got the bat symbols on the boots like in the film. It really is really nice, and most importantly it's got the bat nipples on there. That is what we know George Clooney for. When he played Batman, he very famously put on the suit with the bat nipples, and it's become like a running joke now. Whenever you mention that film, you've got to mention the bat nipples. Also, McFarlane Toys have done a very, very good job on the sculpt of the face. It actually does look like George Clooney, unlike in the Michael Keaton version, which didn't really look that much like Michael Keaton. It was passable, but it didn't really look that much like Michael Keaton. But this one definitely does look like George Clooney, and I've got to commend them on that. That is really, really good. I really am impressed with the sculpting on this figure. Now, this figure has been released previously in a 6-pack featuring Batman figures from the movies. You got the Clooney version, you got the Val Kilmer version, you got the Patterson version, you got the Keaton version, you got the Affleck version, and you also got the Christian Bale version as well. That was a very cool pack, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not picking that up. The reason I didn't pick it up is because I already owned some of those figures out of that set, so it seemed a little bit silly for me to pick it up, but now I'm kind of wishing I did because they were variant in some ways. This one has got a rubber moulded cape, whereas the one that came in the 6-pack had a cloth cape, and I am quite partial to the cloth capes. I do like them. Saying that, so here's a closer look at the boots, and you can see the bat emblem there on the boots, which is a very nice touch. There's also a bat emblem up here on the belt as well. The gloves are very, very nicely sculpted, as you can see. And here we have the sculpted abs of the batsuit, which is something that most batsuits had in the 90s, including Keaton's, Kilmer's, and of course Clooney's. I think the only one that didn't have these kind of sculpted abs was the return suit, which had a more, I don't know, kind of a more tactical design to it. And then we have the famous bat nipples, and you better watch yourself because these babies will take your eye out. They are very prominent on this figure and a really nice touch, and how could you not have a Clooney Batman without the bat nipples? As we go up, we can see that the likeness of George Clooney is definitely sculpted into this figure to perfection. It really is brilliant. I really do like the all black design of this batsuit, which is something you would think would make it look bland, but somehow it works and it just looks really, really sleek and really, really cool. Considering it came from one of the worst Batman films, it's actually probably one of the better Batman suits in my opinion.